I'll have to repeat that introduction, and that's okay. All right. So, hey, IG fam, give a quick introduction of what's going on. Then I'm sure I'm going to have to reintroduce myself when others come on. My name is Tamika Newman, and I am a coach by trade. That's the longest job I've ever had. I'm an assistant volleyball coach at Prairie View A&M. I've been coaching volleyball, multiple sports, but volleyball the most for 13 years. And in addition to that, I own a business, Grit and Grind Athletics, which is an athletic service provider that provides affordable professional skills and leadership training to coaches and players with an emphasis on low resource areas. So what you're seeing here is a series of lives that I'm going to do through the consulting arm of my business. So Grit and Grind Athletics Consulting is putting on these trainings. So this is information that I've presented virtually to schools and athletic programs. I'm just coming to share that information in the Facebook group, in my Facebook group. And you can get information from me about that later, and live on my personal and business page. So the topic is creating systems in your personal life and program. And just simply, I'm going to go through what a system is. And it's super simple. We do it every day. And a system is just your habits, routines, procedures, just how you do what you do every day. That's all a system is. And I'm coming today to encourage everybody to consider focusing on your system instead of goals. Now, you need goals to drive your system, but systems allow for us to achieve a lot more than we could have with just setting goals. So I'm a big proponent of using systems. My life would be a mess without systems, since I'm a coach who travels, owns a business, and I'm in fact a single parent of a 4-year-old busy toddler who's already playing sports and doing all kinds of stuff on her own. So in order to do all that at a high level, I use systems, right? So start thinking now about what are some systems in your life, right? And these are areas where I think you need a system. So in your personal life, you're sleeping and eating. How much do you eat? When do you eat? All right. What do you do before you eat? What do you do after you eat? Sleeping. When do you go to sleep? How much sleep do you get? What conditions are you sleeping in? And how do you wake up out of a sleep? What system do you use? And then this is important for almost everybody. How do you do doing work-related activities at home? Do you set aside an hour? Is there one day a week that you do it? Do you do it in the family room? Do you do it in a private room? So what's your system for working at home? And then the system for cleaning up, organizing your space. Do you do it once a week? Do you do it as soon as you wake up, before the kids wake up? Do you do it before you go to bed so you wake up to an organized space, and that helps you be organized and peaceful throughout the rest of your day? Going over to the coaching side, and most people, you can apply these things to whatever career you're in. How do you deal with communication with players? Do you talk to players? Do you send messages through your captains to talk to players? Do you report or talk about important things in text message, in person, by email? So how do you communicate with players? Are you direct, or do you beat around the bush, right? Because if your goal is for your players to communicate more effectively, then you got to go look at your system of communication, and does it allow for clear communication? Evaluating players. What's your system for doing that? Do you do that weekly, monthly? Is that an end of the season thing? Start of the season? What does that look like? Do you tell them individually? Does a coach sit in? So how do you evaluate players? Is that a conversation or is that a document? Practice workouts and training, which is the most obvious. How do you start a practice or training workout? How do you end it? How do you relay the expectations for how that practice is supposed to go? Goals that you have specifically, skill-specific stuff that you want to improve. How do you go about those things? Communicating to the team. I already talked about discipline problems. How do you address discipline problems? You go directly to the kid. Do you call a meeting? Do you call parents? So, and there's like 100 more areas that we need a system for in coaching and in our personal lives. The idea is that if we've got a system for everything, our life runs more smoothly, we're more happy, and we're more efficient. I'm going to go into some details of coming up with a system instead of just setting a goal. So I'll start with personal. If I've got a goal of losing 15 pounds from now until December 1st. Hey, Women Building Wealth Community. And I saw a parent, Augustine parent on there. I see Sean. Hey, girl. Priscilla Conway. Thank you for joining. So I got a goal of losing 15 pounds by Christmas, right? That's my goal. So from that goal, I need to go back and create a system because I'm going to be really excited about that goal the first few days, and then the excitement will sort of diminish. So I would go back and look at my system of probably how I'm eating, how I'm sleeping, and then how I'm being active. So I might put in place, instead of worrying about losing 15 pounds, I'm going to do 30 minutes of cardio first thing in the morning, right? So that's going to be my system for working out. And then with eating, I'm going to eat a wholesome, healthy breakfast right after I work out. And then, I would start looking at what happens throughout the day. Where do I go wrong with eating sweets or eating things that aren't good for me? And I would go in and, I typically grab for sweets when I'm on the computer during lunchtime, or when I work I work from home a lot because of COVID. When I work in the kitchen, I tend to eat sweets more. I know I've got to get on my computer every day. So I move my computer space, desk area, whatever, out of the kitchen into my bedroom, which is where I am now. And I wouldn't eat sweets in my bedroom because I don't want ants. So that's something I do every day. I get on my computer and work. And I used to do that in the kitchen, all right, which caused me to eat sweets, which is not going to help me lose 15 pounds by Christmas. All right. And what else is something I do every day? Oh, I go pick my daughter up from school. Well, right near my daughter's school is a park. Oh, I can, when she gets out of school, take her to the park for 20 minutes and walk 2 miles. Wow, I've gotten cardio out the way. I've played with her. We've ran some energy off. We're getting her more tired for when we go home. If I do that from now until December 25th, I think that's a month and a half, there's a huge chance, along with, changing my diet and whatever, there's a huge chance I can lose more than 15 pounds. But if I limit myself to, I want to lose 15 pounds. And when I get to 15 pounds and boom, I'm good. Right. And I haven't created a system for doing that. I'm probably going to gain the 15 pounds back by about January 30th. That's very likely because I didn't really have a system in place. I worked really, really, really hard for 45 days at losing 15 pounds. And I missed the opportunity to put in a long-term plan for me to maintain a weight loss of 15 pounds and even lose more, right? So that's a great example of goals can be very limiting because once you reach a goal, then what? Right? So let's look at, because I know I have some coaches on here and I want to talk about coaches. So here's the problem, all right? Because when a problem presents itself, It forces us to set a goal for how we're going to attack the problem. And then the goal helps us to plan or come up with a system. So here's a problem. And this is for any sport. The problem is, I'm a coach. Hey, Tamika, my team gets down early in games or matches every single time. We have a really, really slow start and we always start down, right? A team always goes up on us early, gets a big lead. This is a thing. That's the problem. So coach says, my goal is I want faster starts to our games. I don't want to go into games down, having to come back from being down. I'm tired of that. My goal is to get rid of it, right? So say, okay, coach, so now we got to go look at your systems. You guys always start a game down or behind. How do you start practice? Okay, coach, so my girls come in and they visit for a little bit. They come in early and they get to visit for a little bit. And then right at the start time, they get on the line. They start their dynamic stretch. And by that time, about 5 minutes in, I call them up. We talk about what we want to do that day in practice. I release them and we start. Okay, so I'd come in and I'd have some adjustments I think would be beneficial to that start to practice, training, or workout. I say, okay, they come in early, whatever sport they are, put a ball in their hand right away. All right. And so if it's volleyball, I put a ball in their hand and they just kind of pass the ball, set the ball to themselves around the perimeter. Right. And volleyball players probably wouldn't run. They would shuffle, kind of do a little skip, just a little slow pace thing. And basketball players could start, jogging, right? Their right hand dribbling down, crossover at each corner, left hand dribbling down, whatever, crossover, hesitation, whatever it is that they could be working on, whatever ball handling skill, they're kind of lightly jogging the perimeter doing that. Right. So we're not getting much visiting because you're focusing on your skills and you're jogging. So it's not like you can just kind of be holding a full blown conversation. And then when the real practice time starts, the time that you put on the schedule, they go right into some type of drill that has a goal. Right. And it's not fast paced. It's not anything full out 100%. I mean, something simple. We're making chest passes in a certain pattern and everybody's got to catch with both. Don't drop the ball. 3 straight minutes. Everybody's talking, communicating, and we've got to get 30 of those, right? And 2 or 3 minutes goes by. In other sports, you can think of something similar. I'm talking something very low impact. They don't need to have warmed up a lot. They do that. Whether they meet the goal or not, you call them in and they are breathing hard, panting, and breathing hard, panting. They go right into like a static stretch. Okay, they go and stretch. Your leaders or whoever leads it, starts it, they stretch. And after this, you've been in practice about 10 or 15 minutes. Now you call them up and you check in with them, how they're doing, injuries, whatever. And you talk about how they did with their attaining their goal, with reaching their goal. Hey, you guys, da. So what you've done is they've come into the gym, understood it's not visiting time. It's game time as soon as you walk in the gym, right? So you let them get a little warm, get going. Then immediately you set a goal, which is what you would have for the first quarter, first set, first whatever, first inning of your sport. You have a goal. All right. And so this little call up to talk to them is like calling your first time out in the game. I'm calling the timeout, to talk about how we started, what I like about it, what we need to change right away. So that method would very likely improve a slow start to a game. So that's what I mean. And I could be way off. You could have something else totally in mind, but that's the line of thinking that you've got to have. If I got to go, I need to go look at what I do every day in regards to the circumstances surrounding this goal. And so you can use that for just about anything, right? We struggle with free throws. Free throws is something you probably do every day in practice, but when do you do them? At what intensity level do you do them? What type of supervision do your coaches give when kids are doing it? What level of importance are you placing on free throws every day so that they understand and there's an improvement? Is there a chart? Do you got a free throw girl of the week? Is there any reward for a kid who, when you're statting free throws, and I hope you are in practice, right? Because data's everything. When you're statting free throws throughout the week, the girl who's doing the best, do you praise her publicly? All right. So that system would place importance on free throws in your program. Okay. So that's an example of how to implement a system versus goals. Anybody that's joining me, definitely give me an example of a goal you have, personal or in your program, and we'll look at how to create a system for that. Because I don't want to ramble. I want to give some practical advice. Give me a system. Give me something you want to change in your life, and then let's look at what systems you have in place. Anybody that's still on, got an example of a goal that you have, and let's look at your system for that goal. And let's see if I can think of some examples. So I had a goal of learning more about my players as a coach. Learning more, you got a short period of time, you got so many kids. This was when I was a high school coach. So I'm responsible for 50 kids. My varsity had about 15 or 16. And if the kid isn't a kid you've known since middle school, they're moving or just new to the area, moving, new to sports in general, I want to know more about these kids and build a connection sooner. So a system I created was, what do we do every day? What do we do every day? Okay, I got you, Bree. Hang tight. What do we do every day? Every day, I call them up to talk to them as a group. But in that talking, am I learning enough about them? And am I learning anything about them when I call them up to talk? Probably not. I can see a little bit of personalities shining through, who has a sense of humor, who's a chatty patty, but I'm not learning anything. So I created this thing where right after I call them up, we're in a group, and I say, hey, now we're going to share good things. And what good things is anything in your life that you deem a good thing. And it can be really, really small or really, really big. So as a way for them to get to know me, I start out good things. And I might say, my daughter tied her own shoe this morning. She didn't cry, get frustrated. I didn't have to help her. And then they just kind of clap. They're like, oh, coach, yay, we're so happy for you. So another good thing I might share is, I set a goal to work out 3 times last week, and I did it, right? And the kids are like, yay, coach, that's awesome. So they have found out that I'm a parent, which they might know. I have a daughter. She's a toddler. And then they might find out that I work out, which will resonate with them, right? Coach has goals for working out just like she gives us. So a kid might present, and I get certain answers like, oh, I get paid today, right? So I just found out that kid has a job. That's important information for me to know. That kid has a job, right? So I'm thinking about athletics and all the expectations I have for this kid. This kid has a job, right? So I need to keep things in perspective. And in most cases, most places where I work, a kid didn't have a job unless they needed a job, right? Nobody asked a kid to go play sports and after sports, go and get have a job. Student, job, and athletics, that's a lot. So most kids who did that, there was a need. I understood that, right? I also knew that was a kid that probably was going to understand responsibility and communicating. So I'm looking at that kid to be in a leadership role in my program, because I know that they understand leadership and professionalism and communicating. A kid might tell me, my grandmother is coming from Mexico on Saturday. I'm very, very happy. All right. So that kid has just revealed to me a little bit about their family structure. I'm kind of figuring out their family values. Grandma, so that just tells me a lot about that kid's family and the nature of the relationship, that kid values relationships and comes from a family centered unit, right? That helps me a ton. A kid might share with me during good things, I finally passed my chemistry test. All right. So that's letting me know that this chemistry class is, an issue with this kid. They have some challenges with it. And now I know that awesome, they passed, but I need to check in on this kid and where they are with chemistry very, very often. A kid has shared with me, my dad's getting out of prison. So now I'm on alert that, there are some things that I could say or do that may be very triggering for this kid in the coming weeks. They're about to meet a parent that they haven't seen in umpteen years. So doing good things at the beginning of practice, a meeting, I'm talking a family meeting, anything, it gives me a lot of insight, and I know how I can move forward, and I'm building a relationship, building a connection with the kid a lot sooner than trying to get to know them organically. And then I'm showing some vulnerability by always starting it out first. I always start it. And I tell them something that maybe they don't always get from every coach that they work with or trained by. Another example of systems is I set out to write a book. I wrote a book. I started in March. We went home for the pandemic. Preview said, hey, going home. My club team, I was in middle club season. That was axed. This was the first time in my life since I was a kid, because I've been a multi-sport, multi-clubs, organization, church function. I've been a person who's been on the go since I was probably 12 years old. I mean, constantly on the go. This was the first time in life that I was still. And I started thinking about writing a book. It was a goal that I had that I kind of flirted with the idea of, said I would never have the time to write a book. Like, who writes a book and works full time? I started looking at some programs like you can write a book in 90 days. I'm like, nah, I can't write a book in 90 days. Like, do you know how much writing that is? Like, I read books. Like, that's a lot of work. I can't afford to write a book in 90 days, and I don't have the time. Even being sent home because of COVID, having a daughter, and I just didn't think there was enough hours in the day. But so I started to look at what's my system, right? And where I could fit in writing, because this was going to require tons of hours of writing or recording. So I looked at my wake up schedule. Okay, I don't have to be up early. So I won't wake Zuri up, but I'm probably going to pop up early. Boom. That's 2 hours of writing I can do before Zuri gets up, because my body's used to getting up at 5. I'm not going to wake her up till 7 or 8. That's 2 hours of writing. Okay, when she gets up, it'll be impossible to sit and write and be focused. How will I write? Well, I'm going to get up, get her started, engage with her. When she does her learning video, I'm going to speak 30 more minutes to an hour. All right, that's 3 hours of writing I've done by noon. Or how will I write in the afternoon? Plus, I'm a little tired. I'm going to need a nap at some point. How I'm going to get a nap in? How I'm going to write? Well, Zuri's going to take a 2-hour nap. I'm going to take a 1-hour nap. I'm going to get up an hour before her. That's another hour writing. That's 4 hours of writing, right? That's 4 hours of writing. Mind you, you're going to spend some of this time daydreaming, right? You're not accustomed to just sitting and typing. You got to get over the daydreaming aspect of trying to be creative and a writer. And I didn't realize that. Like, I would be caught watching a bird chirping outside our window for 30 minutes of my writing time. And so, okay, I need 1 more hour. So Jerry's going to get up. She's going to eat lunch. I need to engage with her. We need to learn some more. She's going to want to go play. I'm going to want her to go play, or she's going to drive me nuts because we can't go anywhere. So we go out. The neighbors come out. She's playing. I can get 1 more hour in if I just sit the laptop on my lap and watch her. Just strategically put my chair in the driveway and watch Zuri play. I can see cars, see her, and it's all good. That's 5 hours of writing, right? And if I'm lucky and I've eaten well, drank my water, and I've still got some energy, when she goes to bed, I get in 1 more hour of writing. That's 6 hours. So that's me just looking at how I do what I do every day. What are my routines? What are my habits? And then being creative with putting in that writing time. So that's another way of, the goal of writing a book was super duper overwhelming. I was like, who are you? You're not going to write a book. Like, you ain't stupid. You sharp, but you ain't that sharp. And I put in some systems and I got up and did it every day. And you know what? I didn't do it in 90 days, but I did write a book in 120 days. And that's a hell of a lot better than people who've been working on a book for 6 years, right? So it was because of my system that I was able to get that done. So going back to Bree, I saw her on there. She's a colleague of mine, a volleyball coach. She said, how do you create systems to help athletes have a killer instinct? Have a killer instinct. Bree, are you still on there? I know I got to you a little late. Tell me you're still on there, girl. Bree. No. Bree, are you still on there? I want to answer your question about what systems I would implement to, you put me on the spot here. So having a killer instinct to be competitive. Hey, Bree, approaching things with a killer instinct. So I think everything you do has to be scored and rated. Right down to who gets to the gym first. Who gets to the gym first every day? You know, I had kids who would sprint, race each other to get to the gym first, to get the key from me to open the equipment room. They took a lot of pride in that, right? So getting to the gym first, that starts there, right? And you would praise those kids out loud in front of everybody else. This kid gets to the gym first. When you compete and practice, everything's got to have a score. So I'm gonna preface all that with this: you cannot teach kids to compete. That is the one thing we cannot do. Right? So we can teach kids how to work hard. We can take scoring drills, which will increase competitiveness, but a kid that is not competitive, we cannot put that in them. It's not a thing, right? You'll be beating your head on the wall. And by the time you guys, over time, your relationship will suffer because of bad chemistry from you trying to make them more competitive. So, high school, we couldn't recruit. Hey, reading with Elena, we couldn't recruit. So you had to get who you got. And some years I had kids that just had no competitive edge at all. The one thing that I would say, and then if you're college, you can recruit. So you need to do your due diligence and find out if you're getting a kid that's a competitive dog, right? And so if you keep getting kids that aren't, then you got to check your evaluating process. If you're not getting kids who are competitive, you got to vet them more. You got to find out more people that know them that won't have a biased opinion and will say, hey, this kid can compete. This kid's competitive, or this kid just happens to be skilled, but they're not very competitive. What I found is kids are more likely to change something if it affects their peers, right? So I find a way to make sure that my more competitive kids, that they're vocal, and that they kind of, go at those kids that aren't, with hopes of motivating them to be competitive. So I'll consistently put somebody super duper competitive against somebody who's not. And, maybe they'll get tired of losing. Hopefully they get tired of losing. Or you get to observe, even if they lose, you can observe their fight, that they do care about competing. Let's see, what else? What system would I put in place to increase having a killer mentality? Anybody on the chat got any ideas? Lavon said, competing against yourself is the primary motivation you need. So that's great. So let's talk about that. Competing with yourself. So he's right on point with that. It starts with you come in wanting to be better every day. Like, everything about you wants to do better the next day, right? How do we instill that in kids? That's through conversation, through self-reflection, right? So one of the things I ask kids is, what are you uncomfortable with? And so a kid might tell me something skill related. They might tell me something leadership related. I'm uncomfortable speaking up when my group or my team is not doing well. I'm uncomfortable saying something when I see kids, my teammates, giving low effort and energy. Or I'm uncomfortable on a basketball player might say, I'm uncomfortable in the corner. I still don't think I have the skill sets in the corner or whatever. And so what I've done by asking them that, I'm forcing them to evaluate themselves. I'm forcing them to evaluate themselves, their strengths and their weaknesses, which is a skill they're going to need for life, right? They're going to need that for life. And then I'm able to hold them accountable. And then now they've got a goal to attain, to reach, instead of just, when I come in practice, I want to get better. When I come in practice, when we work on being in the corner and how to get out of the corner or whatever, I need to focus in on that because I'm not great at it. So through constant conversations and reflectiveness. And then there's a great book I read, and it's called Chop Wood, Carry Water. Chop Wood, Carry Water. And it encourages kids to look at and understand the importance of the things you do daily, the things that need to be done. But there's a chapter in the book that talks about kids feeling like they're doing something for you, right? They feel like if I go hard, they feel like I'm doing this for the coach, or I'm doing this for my parent. And they don't realize that you going hard, you being a hard worker, you being committed to something, you making sacrifices is only for you. In the end, you'll realize it was all you were doing was building up who you're going to be in your life. It was never about a coach. It's never about your mom. It was about you improving and adding things to your own toolkit. I pushed through and put up with this. Yeah, and now you got those courage reps under your belt. And now when something presents itself and you need to be courageous, that's already in you. You've already been practicing doing that. So really instilling in kids that whatever you do in this program for this team, you're doing it for yourself, ultimately, right? I'm pushing you to work hard with working out, but I'm helping you to instill a habit in yourself, right? An ability to be consistent, be disciplined, and show up and do something continuously without supervision. That's a skill that you're building up for yourself. It has nothing to do with me. All right. So I tell kids all the time, I'm going to do this 20 or 30 more years. And I'm referencing coaching. I'm going to coach 20 more years. Kids I taught to, I'm going to teach 20 more years. But you have 4 years in your high school or college to leave a legacy here of who you were. You have 4 years to try to win a district, state, conference, national championship. You have 4 years to earn some individual accolades. That's on you. I'm going to coach a kid who's the best in the district, in the state, in the nation, in the region. It's very likely, given my work ethic, my ability to self-reflect and improve, my discipline, my consistency, very likely I'm going to do that. My killer instinct, my competitive nature, I'm going to likely coach a very elite athlete. Question is, are you going to be one of them? Because you only get 4 years to do it. All right, so I put it back on them, Bree. And we know it's nothing like mentioning time dwindling down that causes a sense of urgency with kids. I tell kids every day, this is the last November 16th, 2020 you're going to get. That's it. And at the end of this season, the end of your career, we're gonna be able to go back and look, and we're going to be able to count the days that you didn't do what you were supposed to do. You didn't come in, you didn't compete. All right? So it's a conversation. It's got to be in them to be competitive. Because and I say this too, Bree, you can have the best program, you can have the best coach, you can have had the best training. When you show up to compete, you still got to take it. You still got to take it. All right? And the team that shows up that's willing and ready to take it, they're the team that wins. It don't matter what your coach is. You could have had the best AAU coaches, club coaches. The best money could buy. When you show up, you still got to take it. And I've coached kids that were extremely skilled, but when it was time to get there, they couldn't take it. Right? And I don't think that we can teach them to do that. I really don't. I say, you coach club, you got to recruit kids that are competitive. And so in practice, make everything a game. Make everything a game. Everything a game. Who can go get water and come back fast enough? All right. So that's limiting the water break. You're able to, get more practice time in. And then you see who cares about losing. Who cares about losing? Everything y'all do. Hey, we getting on the bus at 4. And get one of your assistants or the bus driver, whoever, let you know who got on the bus first. And recognize them. Hey, Ashley, thank you for being the first to the bus. And then everybody else is like, oh man, she getting recognized for that. And low key, they jealous. I want to be first for something. You know what I mean? I want to be so-and-so. Thank you for taking your being the first person to take your headphones off when it was time for game time. I appreciate that. They're like, oh, that's a thing. Make a competition out of the smallest stuff, Bree. And then you'll get a chance to see who got it and who don't. And, like Nick Saban says, you got to get the right people on the bus and get the wrong people off. I tell kids, you're a great person. You really are. You're not an athlete. You're not a competitor. But I do think it is worth the time. I think it's a myth that you have it or you don't. Family does that. Yeah, it depends on their family structure. So my family, we were poor and everything, but we had those silent competitions. Everything was a competition. Awesome. So anybody else, something that you have a goal, how can we look at the system and create a system? Oh, real quick, I'll give you guys this so I can get off of here rambling. So how do you go about changing systems? So take an inventory. Start with things that you do on a regular basis, both at home and work. All right. Decide if they're effective or ineffective. All right. Is my wake up routine, is it effective? Do I start my day positive? Am I well rested? Am I productive? Whatever. Does it work or doesn't it work? Right. Then start to plan your new process. When I do lives in the evenings, I try to do it around my daughter's bath time. Right. So for the longest, my daughter take an hour bath. She'd play with her toys. I would get at least an hour. Perfect time. And I don't want to be on longer than an hour. Well, now that she is older and she's not as occupied or it's not as entertaining to play with her toys, she will get out of the tub at like the 20-minute mark. I've got like 35, 40 more minutes of a lot. The girl is running in there with her towel on, half naked, asking me ridiculous questions. So that system I had in place of timing her bath time to when I was doing lives or Zoom meetings, it doesn't work anymore, right? So now I need a new system. I need a new system, right? So maybe during my live, she gets to watch an hour-long movie or whatever. But I can say it's ineffective. Now I got to plan a new process, right? Start executing my plan, and I'm gathering data. Does this work? Does this not work? And then continuously improve the system. So we should be evaluating our systems daily. How do you pay bills? Do you set these alarms? And then when the alarm goes off, then you pay it, or you got these calendar notes? I set up automated payments, and that works for me. Do I devote one day and I sit and just call my bill collectors, pay it in one day? Do I pay it while I'm on the way to work? What is your system? So that's basically some steps to improving systems. So consider what you do, list it. Does it work? Does it not work? Plan a new process, work your plan, then improve the system. And there's so many things that we can do to improve our system. So I do public speaking. Say, hey, I want 2 public speaking gigs a month. Instead of focusing on the goal of 2, I'm going to make sure every Monday I pitch myself to 3 or 4 people, right? And that's total for the month. That's 16 people, organizations I pitch myself to. So I might find out that setting a goal of 2 is really lowballing myself. I probably should set a goal of 4 or 5, or not set a goal at all. Just set a process goal. Every day I'm going to do this. All right. And then wait and see what those results yield. So anybody got any questions we're talking about systems versus goals, or using your goals to help you create systems, right? And the main reason is, I just talked about, goals are limiting. Once you achieve a goal, what now? All right. Goals cause you to miss opportunities. All right. You think that you have a goal of doing this a certain amount of time, and not realizing if you set up the right system, you can go way further than whatever your goal was. Those that are joining, just to introduce myself, I'm Tamika Newman, and I'm the author of Grateful and Greedy, Challenging and Redefining What It Means to Win in Life. If I had to put that in simple terms, I encourage people to be grateful for what you have and where you are, but demand what you deserve. All right, so that's my life's mantra. Then the subtitle, Challenging and Redefining What It Means to Win in Life. I like to think that I'm a winner. I was addicted to winning. My definition of winning was where I went wrong. So I am spending the rest of my life redefining what it means to win in life. And that's just living life on your own terms, defining success for yourself. So that's a shameless plug for the book. It's on Amazon, and I sell the book through my personal website, tamikanewman.com. What types of goals should you try? So you should have some personal, professional goals, some goals for your job or your organization or your business. All types of goals. You just, where in your life do you feel a little unfulfilled and like you should be doing more, or you're a little disappointed with the way things go? Where in your life do you think, what areas are ineffective, or just not, hey, J Hart, just not going well? So you tell me your goal, and then I'm going to talk about how you can create a system that'll help you reach and exceed that goal. So somebody give me an example of a goal, personal or professional. Personal or professional goal, and we're going to go look at a system. How what system you have in place. Anybody have a goal? Personal or professional? I want to advance in my career, right? We know for advancement, you need to, Bree says more time reading. So I have something. What do you do every day? You drive to work. So why not add an audiobook account to your phone? and listen to books on your way to take your kids to school or wherever you got to drive to. So that's how I implemented more reading. When I started writing, I realized I want to read some more. Well, how am I going to read if I'm supposed to be writing? Oh, when I go get my daughter, I'm going to play an audiobook. When I go walk my 4 miles around the lake, I'm going to listen to an audiobook. Right? So, Bree, look at something you do every day. I watch TV every day. So you're going to have to eliminate that TV time and make that about reading. But I would say the best thing for a busy mom, business owner, full-time employee like yourself is to get the Audible app and listen to books orally. What do you think about that, Bree? And I can send you that link as well. So I knew I wanted to get some more information about leadership. While I'm creating some leadership courses, I'm listening to Stacey Abrams' book every day. Every day when I take my daughter to school, I listen to her book. And I think the total time was 4 hours, her book, 4 or 5 hours. And so I've knocked that out in a matter of a week and a half, right? So there we go. I knocked out a whole book, Stacey Abrams' book on leadership, and I'm able to get that information quickly and start applying those leadership concepts to my life. Okay, somebody else. What's a goal you have? It can be anything. Anything. That was a good one. Oh, starting a business. Okay, Sierra, she's on my Facebook group, and that is Redefining What It Means to Win. That's a female minority coaching group on Facebook. Let me know if you want to join. All right, starting a business. All right, so Sierra is a single parent. She's a teacher and a club coach. So you need to, I would say, because you're always busy, you can possibly start a YouTube and start listening to, videos about starting a business while you're caring for the baby, which he is so gorgeous, y'all. Start there. All right, start there with listening to those videos while you're caring for him, while he's watching his cartoon. Start listening to videos, and then maybe take some notes in your phone or whatever. Or when you're driving him to daycare and you're on your way to school, listen to the videos through the car, Bluetooth, right? So start with some videos. Then you've got to look at work, right? What do you do on lunch break? All right, you might start devoting 2 or 3 days out of the week on lunch break, you work on your business. So it starts with maybe market research. So you start throwing it out there, reaching out to people, asking questions to see what problem your business will solve. All right. And so you start out devoting 2 or 3 lunch breaks a week. That's it. To something that helps with you starting a business. All right. And I'll back up a little bit. You need to start out with a plan, a business plan. And every week, 30-minute increments you devote to your business. All right. This is lunchtime. While I'm eating my lunch, I am doing or putting something in place. And that can be, or once a week, I send an email to somebody that owns a business in that industry, and I reach out to them for advice, right? You're on social media. I know, because I see you posting, girl, right? So you need to go over on Twitter, which I think is way better for networking, and you need to start following some people. You need to follow 5 people every week in that industry that you're trying to get into. Every week, just follow 5 people. And that's free content, right? Because they're going to be talking about their industry, their business, their experiences, and you are getting and gaining market research on that business. Okay, somebody says keeping a healthy diet. So start thinking and tracking, what do you do every day? Every day we eat. When do you eat? All right? It could be as simple as what was I going to say? You can assign a task to what you eat, right? When I'm sitting down at the computer, I'm eating whole wheat snacks, right? Assign a task. While I check email, I eat a bag of carrots, right? That's something you do every day. I check my email. While I check email, I nibble on carrots. Right? So that's adding it. So assign different foods or food types, maybe to a task you do throughout the day. All right. When I'm driving, I eat dry nuts. I don't know. Have a theme. Have a theme for throughout the day for what you eat when you're doing what. Maybe you make, that's country. I was going to say make groceries. When do you go grocery shopping? Do you go in the grocery store when you're stressed, hungry, in a rush? Or do you take your time and get up on Sunday, 7 a.m. when nobody's in there, and you got your list and you can clearly go through the aisles and you ate breakfast, drank your coffee so you're not hungry, and you can think clearly about what it is you need to put in your basket? What route do you take to work? Are there a lot of fast food places on your route to work? Yeah, change your route. Change your route to work if there's a lot of fast food places. Listen, it's a Popeyes right outside my neighborhood. So I go through the neighborhood to avoid the Popeyes because I'm going to want a chicken sandwich every couple of days. Okay. So change your route to work. Who do you eat lunch with at work? What do they bring for lunch? If it's healthy food, it's probably going to influence you to not eat the greasy food you brought, right? So look at those things that you do every day, and you can find the gaps in those things. You can see where, dang, I need to change that because that is probably subconsciously influencing me to not do the right thing. And I could go in more detail. Okay, what else? Sierra, okay, glad you like that. We're talking about goals you have in life, how we can create a system that helps you reach and exceed those goals. So we had some really good stuff. How to start a business, keeping a healthy diet, read more. Anybody else got anything else? What can I think of? Well, anyway, if any coaches are on here, you can definitely schedule a call with me. We can talk more specifically about creating systems in your personal life and program. My calendar is wide open. And those meetings are usually 30 minutes to an hour. And we can talk about how to work more closely with you on creating systems that run like a fine-tuned machine. It really, really does. When I think back to coaching in high school, when I had to miss work, which was rarely, I remember coaches and teachers who sub for me saying, "Coach, this thing runs like a fine, it just runs. Like these kids, I was just here as an accessory. They didn't even need me because the systems were in place. They understood what was expected, and the way you guys did stuff was very conducive to success. And so that it helps keep your stress rate down. And who does not want lower stress? So I'll be signing off. DM me if you think of a goal. As soon as we get off this call and you're like, dang, I got this goal. How do I create a system to fix it? Just DM me. And I'm sure I can shoot you out something really fast. I'm kind of like the systems professional for everybody else, but sometimes not in my own life. So if you're coaches, definitely join our coaching group. We provide a lot of value, lots and lots of value. Athletes, if you'd like to make some improvements, you got some goals, I can definitely assist you with systems. Other than that, it's been real. Thank you guys for lunching and learning with me. I'm going to go eat lunch because I'm starving. All right. DM me. Let me know what you thought about this session. I enjoyed it. And I will see you guys tomorrow, same time, 11:15. I'll try to make it way shorter because I just went on and on today. So same time tomorrow and the rest of the week. And we will be talking about, I don't know. Just get on and see. Okay, bye-bye.